have to refer to the room here, because when Mark Bernard just said, this was the logistics terminal. Can you imagine? Probably you smiled, right? It was your terminal, DHL, right? It was freight. One of us. Okay, yes, fantastic.
You're operating here, yeah.
Yeah, you were. Okay, everything you've seen here today, and of course, the dialogue and the discussion that you are following in business and in society, DHL has set some very ambitious goals as a company, and I think we have some numbers here. Maybe you lead us through some of those goals that you have and how you want to achieve it, because I can say you actually are a gorilla from a company.
Me or the company?
Yes, you're quite a gorilla as a company, because you're really a very big operation. Let's look at the numbers.
Yeah, I see this is coming out of the numbers, but before coming to the numbers, let me say thank you for organizing this, because I think the dialogue is the most important thing that we need in this period of transformation. And it's the second conference I'm attending. I'm coming from Hamburg today, where I attended to the Hamburg Sustainability Conference.
Yes.
Slightly different setup. So it was the very distinguished Chamber of Commerce where it took place. But what was important...
It's a beautiful building, though. Huh?
It is a beautiful building.
Very
but
different.
What was important is lots of people and representatives of states of the Global South have been there. And listening to them and hearing what they are suffering from, especially from the outcome of climate change, just shows in a very, very important manner that we have to do something and that we have to change our behavior in production, consuming, and especially in transforming what we need to be a wealthy, democratic society, that we had to transform it to more sustainability in a more comprehensive way, not only climate, but also social and government.
Absolutely. You have a social role as well. I mean, you're a big employer.
Sure.
Huh?
And, well, looking at our numbers, so we are, I say, one of the biggest global logistics companies, so we nearly have 600,000 employees. We are operating in nearly all regions and territories and countries in the world under every jurisdiction and legislation you can imagine. So there are very democratic states, non-democratic states, but our mission is connecting people and improving lives. And I think to connect people, trading with goods, giving them the possibility to export their goods and receive goods is really a thing that we need to improve lives all over the world. But you ask the challenges that we have.
Absolutely. I mean, you're operating 300 airplanes.
We operate 300 airplanes.
So you're bigger than some of the
airlines. It's not the one who will fit through this door. So it's big cargo airliners like the Airbus or 777. But we also have more than 100,000 vehicles on the road. And we already did a lot of change, so we had more than 36,000 of electric vehicles. Perhaps you've seen them, these small yellow cars in the streets. Yes. Normally they block you when you are going through a narrow road. But no, this is really a problem. I come to this later, because urban logistics and changing transport system is really a challenge even for good citizenship and for a good city. But the problem that we are facing is to transform all these modes of transport to more sustainable. You see that we are having, at the moment, 33 million tons of emissions. This is around what Denmark or Switzerland is imitating. So you can imagine how big the challenge is to transform this. And if you consider all the growth that we are facing, we will have in 2030 around 40 million tons if we don't do something to reduce it. And we want to reduce this amount of CO2 emissions by 17 million tons by 2030. So this is really a target, and this is really a challenge. And just to address it, what we really need is technical investments. And this is, I think, what Alex already mentioned before. At least you need people who are willing to pay for it, because we are doing business. And this requires a lot of investments. We promised to invest 7 billion euro till 2030 to transform this. And So therefore, I think you have to build business cases out of this. And you could imagine that having goods transported not in a fossil, cheap way, but in a more sustainable and more decarbonized ways requires a lot of money. So there are big companies who just willing to pay for this because they see that if they want to succeed in a more sustainable world, they have to change their business models as well. And the big companies, for God's sakes, have been up to now. We have to talk perhaps a little bit about the situation in the moment, but up to now willing to just pay some for that so that we could at least starting to build up business models in that.
You know, TEDx always is a very broad audience. So we're not an expert. So if you say you invest 7 billion as a company, where do you invest that? What do you do? Do you change vehicles and you make them electric? Do you change aircraft or you invest in fuel? So where do you put the money?
So we are an off-taker at the end. So we are not building our machines. We tried it once. So back in 2016, when the big OEMs don't want to build our cars, we said, okay, you don't want to build it, we build it by ourselves. So we build up our fleet up to 30,000. But, you know, it was a very expensive experience because if you are a logistics company, you are not very good in building cars. And if you do it in a small amount, it's very expensive. But now there's a lot of change. Even the big OEMs, they are producing these cars so that we can buy it from them. Aviation. Aviation is a very special sector. 35% of the global traded goods are, in the meantime, transported by aircraft.
35%.
35%. So this is a lot of goods being transported around the world. So we are operating, and you mentioned it, with around 300 aircraft, big airliners. And what we are seeing is that the technological development is not that fast. So there is no alternative like we have in the road sector. There is no, you see, I think we bought a kind of small electric aircraft, but this is just able to lift up a ton and transport it 300 kilometers. A 777 is going to take 120 tons, carrying it over the Pacific. So this is slightly different. There's only one chance that we have to decarbonize the aviation sector, and this is using other fuels. So, and this they call sustainable aviation fuels. Yes. And they require, what Alex also just mentioned, they require a lot of renewable energy because you have to produce hydrogen, you have to combine it via energy with carbon dioxide, and then you can build up these fuels. They're very expensive.
So what is your role here?
We are the one who buying this.
You buy this,
if a producer like a hydrogen producer or a refinery coming up and say, well, we are going to produce this, they ask us first, are you willing to take it for a period of 10 years, a huge amount of this, and pay X for that? If you do so and you guarantee this, then we can get the investments to build the refineries. And this is the problem at the moment, that we don't have a stable environment. We don't see any investment decision at the moment to build and produce these stuff.
And where do you see this on a political level? Is it globally? Is it who are the players?
What we see is, and just referring again to Alex, he said nobody is willing to pay into ideological things. So investors are going to invest their money if they see a stable business case and that there is coming a return on their investments. So if you don't have stability and if you don't have stable regulation guidelines for at least 3 decades, nobody is willing to pay more than or invest more than €1 billion in a refinery. There we have at the moment is a very, very complicated or a very unstable situation. So this is why we always ask for more stable regulation in that area. So because we see there is no investment decision being taken to produce this stuff. And this is one of our challenges. So even if you are willing and you want to pay for this, you don't get the volumes you need. And if you are going to change your technologies, so let's say it like this, in the aviation sector, we have the advantage that we can use fossil kerosene, same time sustainable aviation fuels, so synthetic fuels. If you are just addicted to the new stuff because you have changed your technologies, there is no opportunity for you to come back. And if you don't got the fuels and the molecules, the green molecules you need, you are not longer able to operate and to create business and get back your investments. And there we have, at the moment, a really difficult situation, because even there is a lot of companies who are willing to invest. And look at all the great industrial companies. Look at their strategies. They all have sustainability in their strategies.
They do.
They're all willing.
And there's a lot of money flowing in.
Yeah, and
you heard in the beginning. There's so much money flowing in.
They're facing a lot of challenge, and they're facing a lot of problems in that area. And we don't have it only in the aviation sector, which is our biggest problem, because 60%, more than 60% of our emissions coming out of the aviation sector. Wow. It's not the small cars you are seeing here around in the streets. It's the aviation sector. Second is shipping, and then it comes the long-haul transportation. Electrification of our fleets. You can imagine if you have to electrify more than 100,000 vehicles worldwide, not only in Germany. In Germany, we have at least good situation, but go to India, go to Africa. Totally different challenges you're facing. And even here in Germany, we neither have the grid that we need to just get our cars connected to them, nor we have enough renewable energy, because what we have now, more than 50% of our consumption of electricity is coming out of renewables at the moment. Yeah. But imagine we are going to ramp it up with all that cars and all these new items that we are connecting to the grid. We need much, much more of renewable energy. Yeah. Which requires investments, which requires business models, which requires consumption. So it's always the same, because you all heard about the budget difficulties we have here in Germany. State is not able to finance all this. We need more than 700 billion euro to just build up our grid. Yeah. Who should pay this other than the private sector? Yeah. So and just mention the last one, even the buildings are a great consumer of energy and polluters, so we have to change this as well.
So you're working in all those pillars at the same time?
I'm head of the corporate public affairs team department in my corporation, in the company, so I'm working worldwide for governmental relations and just more and more in this sustainability area, in trying to helping to create an environment where you can get all these investments and building up all these transformation that we needed.
Yeah, let's take it to the individual level. Listening to you, me on an individual level, if I order some stuff, I actually have to realize that if I order every day one piece, which will be delivered in the street, it's my CO2 footprint, right? So it's me. Right. So we also have to, if we switch and we look from the normal consumer perspective, we always have to understand that anytime we do this, you might be, putting the stuff that I ordered in a plane, because I ordered it from Temu, and they produce it in China, and then they fly it in a plane for me to be delivered in Berlin, right? So that's also, because it's my responsibility as well. I try to understand how can we, as people as well, not, of course, undermine your business because you earn money by transporting this, of course. But how can we find a balance? What do you think? What do we have to do?
What we are doing is we are very often offer different types of transportation. Mm-hmm. So you as a customer can click boxes where you can say, I want to have it delivered in a more sustainable way, which is more expensive.
No, we had this price thing.
Or, for example, we had one program where we ask our customers to click a box whether they are willing to get their parcels transported not by car, but by rail. So, which means a day longer. So, lots of people doing that. But, having the choice of whether you want to be more logistic or not, I think this is even a method to get clients and customers involved in that process somehow, not just to give them only one choice, but give them the possibility to have their own choice of this. And I think that we have to be more and more creative in just develop, even in small pieces, transportation to more sustainability. This means packages which are smaller. So lots of packages you are ordering and getting, they are carrying air around because this is big volumes. So the smaller they are, the more volumes you get in one item, who's going to transport it, and the less you are polluting and emitting CO2. So this is all the development we are
that's innovation.
looking at. This is innovation for sure.
Okay.
And I think, well, if you look the system or the transportation system or even the e-commerce system over the last decade, I can't imagine that we go back. So this will be a trend which is going to go further and further and further. Digitalization, connectivity over the world, globalization, this fosters the sector like e-commerce. And I think it's good to be that all the people in the world are connected and that they can exchange their good. But that means the only chance that we have is to invest money, being creative, develop new technologies, and get these systems transformed into more sustainability. Yes. Not going back, but transformed what we have, because this is the ground of our wealth. And well, telling the people that they have to reduce their own prosperity and their own wealth, you won't do this in a democratic system.
And we learned it didn't work so much. So, Volker, thank you for coming.
Happy to.
Thank you for giving us an insight in what a company your size is doing. And we hope that we have more role models, because we think we need companies like yours to go ahead, to push the envelope, and really get other companies on the planet to move ahead to reach the goal. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.